Hello, this is Matthew Ballance, introducing you to yet another interesting new feature of SVEditor. So in the 1.7.0 release of SVE, we made a big step forward in support for parsing the output of external commands and annotating that data back onto the workspace in Eclipse. Now, a lot of Eclipse tools do this already, and SVE adding support just enhances your experience within the IDE. So essentially what we want to do here is run one of our tests and have SVE parse the output of running that test and annotate any warnings or errors that we receive back onto and make markers within the workspace. So the way we can do this is go to our Run Configurations dialog, and we have an entry down here for SVEditor build script. We can create a new instance of this type, and we are going to run an AXI for A23 add test. Now, in this particular environment, there is a run test script in the common directory, and so we'll pick this script here to run. And we want to run this test or run the script inside the sim directory of our unit level test bench environment. So let's find the sim directory here and pick sim. Now to run this test, we'll pass the -clean option, which removes everything before rebuilding it again, and specify the test that we want to run. It's this one right over here. Okay. Now this particular launch configuration is by default stored in the workspace, but if we wanted to, we could actually put this configuration inside a shared file, something that actually gets stored inside the project. This is nice because when somebody else imports this project, they'll automatically get the launch configurations that we have already set up. For now, let's just leave this in the workspace. Okay, so we're ready to run our test. So let's click Run, and off we go. We'll see that in the console here, we're starting to get a whole bunch of warnings. Looks like the RTL here is a little bit less than clean. These are warnings from the SVEditor compiler. The message parsers that were added in SVE 1.7.0 handle messages in the format from the Questa simulator, the SVEditor compiler, as well as the GCC compiler. So in this particular test bench environment, we're using all of those tools, or at least we're using in this case SVEditor and GCC. And so we'll get errors and warnings from all of those tools shown in the problems view once our simulation completes here. Now, the Eclipse problems view is actually quite handy because it allows us to sort and group the messages by where they came from. So we might click on type, for example, and we'll see that we have some code analysis problems from the Eclipse tooling. We have some indexing problems here from a misconfigured index setup. We have some warnings from GCC. And so we can see, for example, that we can just double click here and go right to the file and see that we're using a format that the compiler thinks might be a little bit risky. We can also see that we have a whole bunch of system Verilog issues here. These are just warnings, not a problem. We can go double click and see what that is exactly. So again, a pretty handy way to have warnings and errors annotated back onto the source as markers. Now, what if, for example, you really don't want to set up your compilation to run via the IDE, but you'd still like to take advantage of some of these nice features of seeing where the warnings are placed within the source? Well, one little workaround that we can do is actually to process an existing log. Let's just call this cat log. So in this case, what we're going to do is run the cat command. We'll again go ahead and select the directory where we ran our simulation. That's the sim directory here. And now, when I ran my command before, here's the console where I ran my command, I saved the output to a file called log. So here's my previous command, and I've got this log file that contains the transcript of my run. So I can just pass the log file to the cat command here. And when I run this command inside the IDE, it goes ahead and spits out the output of the log very quickly, processing all the lines. And what do you know, all of my the warnings and errors from that log file are now shown in the problems view. So kind of a nice workaround if you'd like to just use this to process existing log files. A couple of notes, or one thing to note is that when you run a command like this, SVEditor removes all the existing warning and error markers of the SVE script type. So you're essentially starting clean every time you run one of these operations. So if your builds, for example, are incremental, you might not see warnings from files that were not actually processed by the command just run. Anyway, so hopefully a useful new feature for getting quick access to warnings and errors. As I mentioned before, currently there are processors for Questa error messages, Verilator error messages, and GCC error messages. If there are other tools that you would like to have added, please feel free to request those as features using the SourceForge tracker. Thanks for watching this quick demo.